already started to reach out to different associations like the Nebraska Volunteer Firefighter Association, so they can kind of be in the beginning conversations of that as well. So like I said, I'd say this is very preliminary and just kind of saying, hey, you might hear about some landowners starting to get conversations over the next couple weeks. But like I said, until a month or so, I don't think we'll have a lot to share with you besides, we're starting off. I don't know if you guys have specific questions for me at this time.
Generally speaking, is there potential of coming through Willow County?
Yeah, and that's why we're looking at it kind of be, like I said, don't really have a rally to kind of be on the northern side. So like I said, I think for the most part, we're trying to parallel tallgrass in a sense, but there's the American burying beetle habitat that we're also looking at. So we're looking at a variety of options. And so red willow right now is currently proposed to be on the route for that.
On the north side, along the Frontier County line, I assume.
Yeah, on the northern side, correct.
Brent, what was your last name?
Yep.
How do you spell it?
Yep, it's Brent, last name Niese, Niese. And like I said, I'm an engineer, but my title is Director of Project Management.
Okay, and then Matt Bright, correct?
Yes. So,
you guys are with Summit Carbon Solutions and
correct, sir.
Sorry.
I said correct, sir.
Yep. And then you, through ethanol plants, you capture their CO2, correct?
Yes.
They're off of their
fermentation process
from the mash.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know, like I said, if you guys have looked into it, kind of where this is stemming from is the ethanol plants are getting a little bit of pressure, and kind of globally we are, for them to decarbonize. I think a lot of these ethanol plants would tell you it wasn't their idea to have to do this, but they're kind of being pushed out of certain markets like the low carbon fuel market unless they have a lower carbon intensity score. And I think the long-term goal is to actually utilize the CO2 in different markets like the enhanced oil recovery, or for them to even be considered to be used for sustainable aviation fuel, they have to have a lower carbon intensity score. So I think the goal here is to give the ethanol plants flexibility, and that starts off with sequestration until you can kind of have the infrastructure. And I think you'll see other uses grow from that. And it's just kind of about keeping them competitive in an atmosphere where they're kind of getting, I guess, a lot of pressure to decarbonize. And I think a lot of people are seeing that across the board. But ethanol plants are an easy way for us to kind of start off there because that CO2 is very pure. It comes off like 99% pure CO2. So there's a lot of potential uses for it, as well as we're able to, put it into the DJ Basin is where tallgrass is currently sequestering, and we know that can be done. So like I said, it's something that keeps them competitive and in a lot of situations allows them to expand. But I think the biggest thing that we get from landowners is, how does this benefit me maybe if we don't have an ethanol plant in the county that we're hooked up to at this time? And a big thing of that is we're saying, paying at or above market price for the land where they continue to be able to farm it. In our CBA, our Community Benefits Agreement, we've actually switched to being able to pay landowners every year on top of that. So it's the easement, continual payments, which isn't something usually done by pipelines. It's usually only done by wind or solar, where you have an above ground footprint where they can't farm anymore. So I think that's kind of our goal now, is how can we make this more of a partnership with the landowners compared to historically pipelines are, hey, you get the one-time payment, we go through the ground, and that's kind of all you see of it. So I think that's where we hope the conversation starts, but I think each of that will be a case-by-case basis.
So this pipeline, potentially, how far are you guys piping this CO2 from? So we have obviously an ethanol plant in Cambridge, one in Trenton,
yep,
one in Madrid. How far is this coming from, or is that just to service those plants?
No, and so, yeah, sorry. So right now, you kind of think of that as a phase one process. So right now, we started off originally in Iowa with 32 plants, and then after we even got started in Iowa, we hooked on with Pote and Valero as kind of an afterthought, and they came to us with a commercial agreement. After that was signed, they hooked onto the project. Other ethanol plants can hook on to us as well. It's going to kind of be, are you guys interested? Does it make commercial economic sense for you guys to do so? And there's even potential for other commodities to hook onto it. There's, sometimes there's like fertilizer or even like some steel plants, but they obviously have to meet our specifications. So I think there could be a growth out to other ethanol plants if it makes sense for them commercially as well. Because I think sometimes there's commercial agreements that they do right now with their CO2, and I don't know if it's any of your guys' counties, but sometimes they're already doing some dry ice with it already, and maybe they're not. But this gives them that flexibility to, hey, there's the pipeline. Does it make sense for us to go into this? Because, like I said, it's when you look at the low carbon fuel markets, how that works is these ethanol plants can sell to them already, but if your carbon intensity isn't a certain score that they've made up, then you kind of get taxed on it. Where, hey, if we do have a lower carbon intensity, we can sell it for a premium. And like I said, I think I don't know if you guys are, I work a lot with Seth Harder up in Husker Ag, that's in Pierce County, so pretty far away from you guys, but he was kind of the first one I talked to about this, and he's like, I'll be honest with you, the pipeline wasn't my first choice, but when you look at what can I do compared to other ethanol plants, I can't put it in the ground because the ground subsoil isn't accepting where he lives. You can't rail it. So it's kind of like if you don't have the opportunity to hook on, you're a little bit at a disadvantage to those that can. So like I said, I think that's where we try to find the middle ground with people is we understand the pipeline might not be people's first choice, but how can we make this where it's kind of a win-win for the county where we're paying property taxes, the landowners get that payment up front as well as ongoing payments, as well as kind of agriculture as a whole continues to push forward with the opportunities that, hey, these ethanol plants are expanding. Are we doing sustainable aviation plants where the ethanol actually can sell to them a lot more and there's a big growth in it? I think the goal here is how can we make it a win-win for everybody? But that kind of starts with conversations here where we can say, what's important to you guys? How can we guys give you the information to help you?
So would you be a competitor to Tall Grass or a partner?
It would be a competitor in which, like I said, I would say competition is usually good when you look at, hey, maybe they're going to the ethanol plant offering them a price. Now we actually have to compete against each other. That helps out that ethanol plant. So yeah, as of right now, it would be a competitor. I don't know if that could ever change, but at this time, yeah, we would be going against them. Because I think they have 10 ethanol plants, I believe, in Nebraska and then 1 in Iowa. That number might plus or minus 2 on that. So.
And the ethanol or the sequestration is in my backyard where I live. So just coming from that aspect, we're not trying to ask you to put something in your backyard that I wouldn't want in mine. So because I'm from Kimball County, so it's going through my backyard. The sequestration site is from my business in Pine Bluffs, Wyoming, is like 15 minutes away. So it's that whole portion is in my backyard.
Okay. Whose pipeline do you know runs through Dundee County, north to south? Then there's the big station. Huh?
Yeah, the one that's coming from the feedlot.
Well,
Is it natural gas or what is it?
It might not be.
I'd have to look at it. I don't know at the
I
time.
wasn't sure.
Okay.
I know that there's a pipeline running there on long 61.
I know Tallgrass goes obviously east to west, but they do have a couple laterals that do go north and south because they have a couple ethanol plants obviously between here and the Iowa border that they also hook up to. So I guess I can't with confidence say at this time, but
I don't think either one of these ethanol plants down here are capturing this.
no. I know they're not signed on to anyone at this time, to my knowledge. Now,
Okay.
I will say I'm the engineer, not the commercial guy. So if there are conversations, I just don't know about them.
I wonder about our zoning regs.
No, I'll be with Craig tonight, I'll ask him.
Okay.
6 o'clock.
Okay. So you guys are thinking within a month or so, you're gonna have a little bit better idea of what you're doing or what you're thinking?
Just more conversations take place at that time. I wouldn't say that we would lock it down even at that time. I'd say it's going to be a county by county, area by area conversation that we expect to kind of sit down with people and say, are you happy with it? Is your neighbor happy with it? Let's get something that works for everybody. And I think that's where it's not something that I think it could take a month, sure. Could take 4 months, could take more. We have to see how people are receptive to it, and I think it's just having those conversations is the first step. So that's why I don't necessarily always like to come here with a map and say, here's where it's going, because it's going to get outdated so fast once these conversations start. And when we come in, I'd like to say, hey, we've actually made a good start, and what information can we kind of continue to share?
Okay, so even though we don't know the exact route, what are we talking, just like Red Willow County, Furnace County?
Yeah, I think right now, if you're looking at the map, I think our goals are kind of just maybe somewhere up here, going out.
Through our county.
Yes, but yeah, Furnace County is where we're also going, and then kind of going back up and
And we'll go through like Logan County,
Yeah.
Colorado,
Okay.
yeah.
through Kimball County, Laramie County, Wyoming.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, well, we appreciate you stopping by, and then obviously stay in contact with us, and yeah, we appreciate you coming in today.
Yeah, and so like I said, we'll email kind of so you have our email and our phone. So just if you guys have questions, call me anytime. Just even if it's like hey, I got this question, can you help me out, or send me something, because I think that's our biggest thing is we want to be able to give you guys the information, and even if it's hey, can you come talk to so and so, more than happy to do so.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
thank you guys. We appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you. All right, I'm going to, it is 9:13. I'll go ahead and recess the Board of Commissioners meeting.
Presentation meeting at
235.
9:14.
6984.
Yeah.
Addition to
Are
the
you,
job.
I'm a commissioner.
Open meeting back.
Nice to meet you. And then I'll please.
Looks like we have a tax roll correction, with Lori, so, what do you got?
Yeah, this is a tax, acceleration for, it's DV Capital LLC, but they're actually the owners of Diamond Bowl, and they sold.
Oh,
after the
yeah,
first
okay,
year.
okay.
That's correction, they will owe us $5.63 taxes.
That's important, we need it.
That's right, every little bit.
We need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, Charles? Think we should take that money or other people?
I'll make a motion to approve tax roll correction number 7 for DV Capital in the amount of $5.62.
Any other further discussion? If there's none, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Simple enough. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
That's a quick, it's either,
I know. Wait till next month,
you know.
Okay, who we brought in already?
not much.
What, 6 down there?
How many?
And they have till the 30th?
That's it.
Yeah, how people are last minute.
Last minute.
Yeah.
That's a good start. Okay, I'm gonna close the Board of Legislation meeting at 9:16.
Reconvene the Board of Commissioners meeting at 9:16. Next up on the agenda is Judge Hang with the bailiff agreement. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Actually, that's one item, and I also kind of want to bring the board's attention, I think, to a problem that's going to be reached in the next year with the public defender's position. So, but starting with the bailiff position, Lori reminded me that we were on our two-year review of the bailiff's position. I kind of set forth, I think, in the email, the salaries of the bailiffs in the counties around us. The bailiff here is at $21 an hour, obviously is well below what everyone else, and is going to be coming July 1st. The counties here in Lincoln County, the two bailiffs, I think they're on a salary position. Lincoln County, the statute provides that the county is supposed to provide a bailiff. That's kind of where the authority comes from. Lincoln County interprets that as they pay the bailiff, even though they go to Keith County, Perkins County, the northern counties. Lincoln County foots a bill for the entire bailiff salary, or both bailiffs. Actually, they have two bailiffs up there now. Dawson County did the same thing. However, Dawson County, I took over Gosper County, and so Dawson really is the only county that they have a bailiff just to themselves. So my bailiff covers the lower 8 counties as well as myself. And I went to the neighboring counties, or the district to the just east of us, the 10th, which is Holdridge, Minden, Hastings. They have two bailiffs as well. one of the bailiffs is just paid by Hastings, even though that judge go to other county. The other bailiff is paid like we do it here, where I go and make a percentage of what each does. The Scotts Bluff with the other bailiffs out there, and they are just paid by Scotts Bluff. So my proposal is to increase the bailiff to $24 an hour. I understand that's still below what every other bailiff's making. I appreciate the fact that I'm able to have a bailiff, and I take into account your position here. And I think with regard to the attachment, I did kind of what we did last time and broke it down as to the percentage of the counties over the last 2 years, and the amounts they would be paying based on a increase of $24 an hour. I still keep her at 35 hours per week. Her annual salary would then become about $43,680. So I do hear that from others that I am below the market. However, I do understand our unique situation down here and take into account what you guys have to go through and creating a budget. Myself, we have, because we travel, we have assorted expenses. You know, I pay the cell phone. When I took the job, I think it's very important that we can be in contact at all times because we do travel a lot. So I pay for the cell phone that Nicole uses, and if you've talked to the attorneys around town, she is available 24/7. I think it's important, again, especially when you have domestic relation type cases where quick hearings are often necessary. It's important to get a hold of the bailiff. It's important to get a hold of the judge and schedule things. And I think we do a pretty good job of getting things on the schedule. It's not uncommon for my bailiff to be receiving phone calls 7:30, 8 o'clock at night and answering them. It's not uncommon for her to be responding emails all night long. I practice a little bit more unique as a judge than others do. I don't think it's just an 8 to 4 or 8 to 5 job. I think it's important that we're responsive, and I think the bailiff definitely helps us do that, as well as organize. I think the most important thing she does is organize what we do on a daily basis throughout the counties. And I think the other counties, I know the relationship through there, because we do have we're lucky here with Lori, been here such a long time. And so she is pretty stable. We got some counties that are brand new folks. And I keep telling my bailiff, I said, my wife was a district judge in Omaha for a number of years, and her bailiff never had to answer the type of questions we face here. And I know the North Platte bailiffs don't. So, she becomes a sounding board for all the counties, and including our county. But we're lucky here in Red Willow that Lori is such a stable person and knows. So that's the proposal on the bailiff and where I kind of come up with the numbers. And like I said, I know I'm behind the curve, and I will continue to be behind the curve as to what's happening. And so 2 years from now, I'm probably in the same situation where we are going to be behind our own district as well as our neighboring districts.
And then we were at 40% of her salary.
I don't think that changed. I think the percentages have stayed the same. So.
Judge, do you remember what we were this current year?
21 an hour.
I know, but do you know the total? Does anybody have a total?
It would be on our last year's contract. I don't know. I didn't bring.
This is the old one. That's what he's asking about.
I don't have the county.
I can get it. I think I have it sitting over here on my desk. If you.
This is last year's. That's 2 years.
32,000 annually last program, and it says, I don't know what our breakdown was. 40% same, of 38. It was annually, it was $38,220, and then that 40% of that would be our share.
That's just the wages. I think I have it just sitting there. If you want me to get it, Commissioner.
Well, if you don't mind,
No, not at all.
We're in the budget year.
Well, yeah, we got wages, insurance,
Yeah,
retirement.
I have that all divided, I think.
63,973,
Oh, we.
63,973.89. That's, yeah. So we were at 25,589.20. So that would have been our 40%, the last contract, so now we're going up to 27,947.20.
That's not terrible.
I wish I. Oh, no. Yeah, that's really nice of you, you know.
Just
Oh.
thought I'd ask.
We came across this,
Pardon?
we come across this, do the exercise anyway.
Yes, I need to get my knee gets stiff here, but
We had 63,973.89. Does that agree with your number?
for the
Third fiscal year, for everything included.
for the county's portion of the
Right.
last contract, it looked like it was
I got
Red Willow County's $24,310.08. I don't know if did I break it. So basically, then whatever is 40% of that $69,000 figure.
27,947.
Yeah, so your quarterly portion times 4 there. So
What'd you said 24, that's not the number.
it was 24,310.08 for the 24-25 portion.
Okay, it's about a $3,400 increase.
Approximately.
Roughly.
Where was the year-to-date on, remember those, yeah. May, yeah. Cause we just had a breakdown on exhibit 1 of the wages we had down at 63,973.89 for the July 1st, 2024 to June 30th of 2026 proposal. And so I just took the 40% of that 63,000 for this was for the past contract and come up with
Right.
25.
That's where I got the 24,310 number. And so, yeah, so this and the overall for all counties would go from that 63,973.89 figure to the 69,864.44 figure.
So depending on whose numbers you come up with, your number show a $3,600 increase, our number showing $2,300 increase. And it's fair either way.
Well, I suppose then when you come, maybe look at, was the health insurance and those costs.
That's all.
big
Yeah,
on-
this was the last contract. The exhibit would have been exhibit 4 to the contract, which would have had the last.
It don't have to be exact, I'm just.
No, that's where I'm at. So that was the last 2 contracts, and so this would be that.
Okay.
If we did that, but then again, it'd be that
Budgeted
69.
38,
Yeah.
and we spent 35. So it needs to be more than that.
Yeah, so we budgeted 38,000, and then we used 35,000
So far,
so far. And that doesn't include.
yeah. last
Are
year
the other
was-
counties, are they chipping in? I mean, I don't think, I guess Penny would know. They are, okay.
So if that were true, then that we're paying a larger line, we're paying more than 40%. If this is accurate, that we budgeted 38 and we used 35 up to the end of May.
Yeah, definitely are, aren't we?
Almost 60%,
Yeah, roughly 60%.
which we just know what we need to know what to budget. That's what we budgeted last year, so.
Yeah, but if it increases, if we're paid, our share is gonna be 60% of the new number, then it'd be higher than 38.
What was the old number?
Well, it should be 40% of the new number.
That's 40% on the year, but we're paying more than 40%. We had to.
Okay,
If this is correct, I mean, this is the, I'll show you, I mean, this is what we have for the $21 per hour.
Yeah.
From last contract.
that's just contract, yeah.
So July 1 of 24 to June 21 per hour. Yeah, that was exhibit 1.
Yeah, so that's that number there, so.
Yeah.
So that's this, then that should have been your 40% of that number.
But see, we've used 35 so far because we budgeted 38 and we've used 35. So I'm wondering how we're obviously paying.
Something to, I mean, when the counties pay, I mean, that's the only thing I think of, but we're not crediting the county money coming in.
Yeah.
That's good. So this should be the number that McCook or Red Willow County pays.
Well, that'd be great because we could really lower our budget on that end.
Well, I don't know why it's.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not a.
So are you thinking this is the no? This has been the old one.
That's the current one. So the new one would be, and I just did the quarterly figures. So I guess you time those. So that number there, which is let's just say 7,000, should be 28,000 approximately for your little
Our
shortage.
share.
Yeah.
So 28,000 if you round that up.
If
to
you round
7.
it up to 7, yeah. So that's the quarterly payment each county should be making.
So, Crystal, is there a revenue line in general for the other counties' bailiff fees?
Well, it all goes with debt expense, it all goes in the same.
So, we pay the bailiff for total salary, and we get reimbursed from the other counties.
Right.
So this is her total, is this year's?
Oh, I see.
I don't know if I guess.
2020 was
Okay.
last year.
Okay.
So this year we need to budget her total salary, and then the other counties pay us back.
I see as a revenue. Oh, that's where that. Okay,
Right.
sorry, Judge. That's okay. So
So what is this number this year?
That's
What
it.
is that?
It should be that 69 something quarterly, 6986.845 quarterly.
This,
not just our breakdown, but her total salary, not including health insurance.
right,
Well, let's see.
isn't that it? Chris?
This is the agreement.
Yeah, the number, that 69 number would have health insurance and
Sheet with it?
retirement in it.
This is just the interlocal agreement.
So she's 24 an hour, 35 a week.
18, 20 a year hours.
43,680.
That should be the number on exhibit one, I believe, is
That's what needs to be.
43,680 for the wages alone. Yeah.
That's what I got. Okay.
But that's what we need to budget, just the wages part of that. The 43,680.
Okay.
And obviously we got revenue coming back. Okay.
All right. And statutorily, you have a bailiff.
Right.
Okay. All right. So through this discussion, are we ready to move forward with approval of the interlocal agreement for the district court bailiff?
I am, I'll make the motion.
I got a motion from Dean and a second from Fritchie to approve the interlocal agreement for the district court bailiff for, what's a 2-year contract. There's no further discussion. We'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you. And I'll just speak briefly. It's more to give you a heads up. I know Ryan Wilcox is our public defender, and he's announced that he's going to be retiring at the end of next year. And I know it's on the news. Adams County has talked about the fact that they could not find somebody, and they had to go out, and they went through a bidding process. And I don't know where they stand now, but I know Lexington and our district, their public defender, and this is what kind of brought it to my attention, their public defender just up and moved in January. And it created a situation where there was nobody under contract, and the county, Lexington, or Dawson County had to start, everybody was appointed. So all criminal defendants had appointment. And what caused the alarm that I wanted to bring to your attention was at the end of the first quarter, so at the end of March, it expended the entire budget for court-appointed attorneys. So they had 3 months where they then all of a sudden had to come up with other monies, and I think that's kind of where Adams County was too, because they had the same situation where the public defender, I think, just left. And I have spoken just with one local group to say, you know, cause Mr. Wilcox, he does this county, he's got contracts with Hayes, Hitchcock, Frontier. And, you know, and I think he's below the norm where the market value is, but that's what he does. And it's a good amount of money, in my opinion, to bring somebody in and, you know, agree with all the surrounding counties and try to, you know, get contracts with all the counties, and they could fund a new attorney, basically. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention because, you know, Judge Payne and myself, under the Constitution, have to appoint somebody, ideally as a public defender, because that's, you know, and you have a contract, so you kind of get a fixed cost, but it could be if no one is stepping up and there's no contract out there, and Mr. Wood probably can assist in that too, but I can see coming, you know, a year from now, late, whenever Ryan's done, that if there's no one in place, all of a sudden our court-appointed attorney budget is maybe not realistic if we're going to have. And the other problem is if we only have a handful here that we can appoint, and if you're starting to look from North Platte and other areas, then you're looking at other issues that, unless we're going to pay travel time or something, and so on and so forth. So it'll well exceed whatever, you know, public defender contract we have. I try to appoint local as much as I can. You know, I do not like going outside, but you know, on the same token, there's just and we're really lucky. Ryan does a really good job of not recusing himself on very many cases. I mean, I see in Lexington and up there that the public defender sometimes would say, I can't take this case, and for reasons I'm thinking, well, but I'm not going to question it. But, you know, we're lucky here that Ryan takes almost everything that comes into his office and under the contract. So you get a pretty good feel, but it could be a year from now, a scenario where we may be in a great deal of flux into court-appointed attorney fees. So I just wanted to bring it to attention, and, you know, I'm trying to try to get a new attorney in town, and maybe under that, if somebody wants to practice criminal law and make a pretty good living. I mean, Lexington, he advertised for an associate or an assistant $100,000 and all benefits, and for 7 months he did not even get an applicant. And so finally he got an applicant. Kid lasted about 2 months and was gone, and then I think he just got fed up and moved to North Carolina, to my understanding. So all of a sudden they were out without a public defender on very short notice, and it just really created a lot of havoc for him. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to the attention next year. So
do we know when Mr. Wilcox is retiring?
I think he indicated toward the end of 27, so we got over a year and a half right now. But so my next, I don't know where his contract is with you this year, or if he renews it annually or what it is, but I think he indicated toward the end of 27.
I know he's burned out. He says he works as hard as he can for these people, and then it's his fault that they didn't.
Well,
You know, he just-
I've been there. I know they like pointing the finger at everybody else other than themselves. So. Yeah.
Here's maybe a dumb question. Why is it that, you know, we use the public defender for some cases, but yet we get a lot of bills from private attorneys?
That's the court appointed ones.
So we only have to court appointed on criminal and certain paternity cases. Other than that, it's they ask for it a lot, but yeah, it's so. And I try to do I've denied it if they make enough money. I think it's if they can afford an attorney, they have to fill out a financial affidavit before I can appoint them. And if I feel they have enough money, they make minimum wage, they should be able to afford an attorney. So we try to. I understand your pressures you guys have, so we try to look at it. But most of them are any criminal case that has any jail time threat has to have a court-appointed attorney. Yeah. So.
And then you have the guardian cases, like guardian ad litem, there's maybe mom, dad, and others, they all need it,
The juvenile court system, you can engage. You could have a mom have 3 kids with. I used to have them 3 different dads, so every dad had to have a separate attorney. Mom had an attorney. Guardian ad litem. So you could actually have 5 separate attorneys on one case in a juvenile case. And I don't have that up here, but I can recall sitting there thinking this is costing a lot of money and sometimes it was not a situation they should be expending the money. So.
I went through one of those, had a guardian ad litem with 3 attorneys.
Pardon?
I went through one of those, had a guardian ad litem and we had 3 attorneys for custody of 3 orphan kids.
Yeah, I've seen it where it was 4 different. There's 4 kids or 5 kids, but 4 different fathers, and so every father had to have a separate attorney, and it's just like then all of a sudden you're looking, bringing them way up. But anyway, all right.
So we should at least be okay with Ryan through this.
Yeah, this next calendar year, fiscal year. Yeah, it'll be after the July or June 30th to 27 days. I'm just not sure, but I know it's later in 27.
Judge, are you trying to recruit somebody?
I talked to a local firm and just said, listen, you can probably bring an associate, brand new kid out here and do it quickly. They have a year to learn. And within a year, you could probably go in to get contracts to basically fund the new associate. And for a law firm, most law firms, with a new associate, they don't pay for themselves for a while. It takes a little while for them to, but there's a ready-made situation here if they want to do criminal law and they can get on board with Frontier and Hitchcock and here and just say, enter agreements with each of them, and then all of a sudden they have an associate who wants to do criminal law who is basically funded. I mean, that's the big thing is you're having an associate who you're not maybe that first year, but after that they should be able to pay for themselves, which is really very fortunate. Most associates don't for a couple of years. So anyway, I don't know if it got anywhere, but I kind of raised it. There's only really one firm in town with any number of attorneys. So.
Are you going to approach each county, or do you want?
I've already sent it out. Just I said I was talking to you, and I sent it out to make sure. I know some have already signed it. They didn't. Okay. So yeah, I've sent it out to each county attorney and some of the clerks to make sure they get it all done. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Have a good one.
We're running a little bit behind, but that's okay. 9:30 was scheduled for open gravel bids. I don't believe any were received, so no bids were received. If no bids were received, we still don't have to vote to reject them. There's none to be reject, essentially. Okay.
So we should be happy with that.
Okay. Then next up on the agenda at 9:45 is a budget hearing and resolution approval with Dan Miller. So we got a few minutes before we can start that public hearing. can, in the meanwhile, review. We have 2 reports. The clerk's monthly revenue report, and then also the sheriff's monthly revenue report. The clerk brought in $7,191.59. And the sheriff's office brought in $1,745.59.
Yeah, Deb didn't put a cover page on it. I think things are kind of in a upheaval over there right now. But they're getting better.
Yes, we got the total anyway. Not much, it must, I don't know if you guys all think the sheriff's report.
We put $9,000 in documentary stamps, we get less than 2,000. State takes the rest of the bill. That's great, and I'll make those trying to get that cheap.
Me too.
You should get a bigger share of that. Well,
This is the old contract. No gravel bids.
That was part of the consent.
This one is. Okay. Yeah, cause it's 1592 in regard to the,
It is?
but budget, yeah, 1592 is the resolution to move that.
And that's 91. Okay, you scared me. I thought
Nope,
it
you're
was
good.
92.
Nope, you're good. Dan, are you ready?
If you are.
I do believe.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right, we will need a motion. Got a motion from Dean and a second from Fritchie to enter into a public hearing in regards to our budget. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. We are now in a public hearing. Yes, sir.
Okay, as you know, you have an issue with your self-insurance fund, being short a little money. And so we put together some numbers to amend the budget to hopefully take care of all that stuff. And that was published in last Thursday's paper, I believe. And so since that time, since those numbers were all put together, you've received additional claims than what we were projecting for the month of June. And so my last conversation with Penny was, even with the amended, you're still going to be short about $50,000 from paying all the claims for the month of June in self-insurance. So the way the budget was amended and published, there was a question of whether or not, as with the normal budget adoption, you could make changes at the budget hearing and then publish those changes within 20 days. State auditor told me that there's no statutory authority to do that on an amended budget. So you'd either have to adopt this amended budget as it is or reject it. We could republish, have a hearing sometime before the 30th. That's one option. The other option is to adopt the budget as amended, and then whatever shortfall in the self-insurance fund, those funds or those expenditures could be paid through the inheritance fund, because there is budget authority there to do that. When I asked the auditor about that, I said, my looking at that is, are you going around the budget for the self-insurance by doing that, even though you have a separate fund to pay these claims? He said, well, yeah, I can see that could be an issue, but there's no statutory authority that says you cannot pay those claims out of the inheritance fund, just directly out of inheritance. So that would take care of any shortfall you'd have right now, adopting the amended budget as it is now, transferring money from miscellaneous operating expenses inheritance to transfers out, and then transferring that money to self-insurance and general. And the reason we have to do general is because you've already transferred excess monies from general to self-insurance, so we need to cover that shortfall by doing the transfer of inheritance to general to cover that. So that's kind of where we sit right now. All those numbers are in there, showing 550 from miscellaneous to transfers out, 250 of that going to general, and increasing the transfer to self-insurance from general to self-insurance by 250, and then transferring 300,000 to self-insurance to cover the claims in addition to what has already been there. So,
Like option 2 that you gave us, like option 2.
yeah, we just
We have another 50,000 coming in, paid directly out of inheritance, we do have budgeted.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I like that option.
Oh, what in total have we spent out of, for health insurance? What have been, like, through the end of,
the original budget was $1.4 million, I believe, and this amended one takes it to $1.7 million.
That's way more than what our total maximum amount is gonna cost us is, like, roughly 300,000.
well, I think it's because that, it doesn't start till July 1, and we're catching it all in June.
It's 13 months long, and we've got to work with it like
So,
So we're in the middle. And the claims are 122 today. We thought we were planning for worst case scenario, moving 75, because that was the highest month we had. And lo and behold, it was 122. So
we got to make sure that we get that changed over to the 12-month period. Next go around, instead of 13 months.
we're at 1.758. I mean,
Penny, does that reflect what was left for me to transfer?
this is just budget authority.
Okay.
So, so these amendments, which, so we did budget monies from the inheritance fund into this current budget. How much did we, 550?
Out of inheritance, the inheritance budget initially was transferring, I believe, 329,000 to
40,
340,000,
49. Sorry.
49 to the general fund in order to lower the tax levy.
Yes, yeah.
And then there was $1 million in there for just miscellaneous operating expenses. And the main reason that that number was there was that your cash reserve needs to be below a certain number. And with your inheritance tax money, the other funds and everything, you go over that limit. So by just budgeting this, lowering the ending cash reserve for the inheritance put you under that number. That's why that $1 million was there. So it's just there for insurance purposes, basically. Just if you needed the money to spend, it was available. If you didn't need it, it just stayed in the inheritance fund and went to next year. So
This doesn't affect any tax dollars. It's just budget authority.
Yeah.
Nobody's taxes
yeah.
are going up.
There's no dollar going from one place to another. It's just
It's just
the
the
ability to transfer the money or to do this. So
And thankfully, you have that $1 million in there.
Right.
In addition
Right.
to the 349, because had we not,
yeah.
And
Okay.
that might be something to, think about increasing next year, because if, this is horrible.
yeah, at that point, I mean,
We have to.
we'd have been, I mean, based on these numbers, we'd have been way better off going fully insured.
Yes, well, we know, the fiscal year, that extra month.
So,
It's
okay,
always a gamble.
it is a gamble. It's a roll of the dice. We don't know
We fared pretty well.
what our health
We got us this year.
claims are gonna be. we have that $40,000 stop loss, but where we pay the
But
first
that
40.
never affects the budget.
Budget, right. No, you're right. So we have resolution number 1592, 1593, and 1594.
There might be, is there a fourth one?
I just seen three here.
Should I have had a fourth one?
Yeah, it should be a fourth one. And I don't know if you need to probably need to adopt the amended budget in the public hearing, because you can't take any official action during a public hearing.
Right.
So you'd have to adopt the budget, or I guess close the public hearing, and then adopt the budget, and then do the resolutions transferring the money, so.
Before we come out of there, Dan, I ask you a question.
Okay.
It looks like our slice is 5.23% this year,
Okay,
and plus our growth. We don't know what the growth is, or 1%. We've got our budget authority that we had left over, unused authority from last year. It looks like it's about 277,000.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have it here.
okay,
But that enables us to use that money this year and still stay below this 5.236 plus growth. We can add that unused authority.
I know that's a little tricky on how all that works, because then you're looking at this year on the amount you can carry over being 5.23% of your budget for this year.
That's a percentage of the unused.
And so
authority.
if we were maxed out at the number last year, then that number is only going to increase by 0.23% if your budget is all the same. So it's hard to tell how much of that you're going to get to use for this. Right, because they cap how much you can carry over. Yeah, so it's, until we see some actual numbers, it's kind of really hard to say how much we're going to be able to use to lower this year's.
Okay.
Alright, here's the one I forgot to print, but, if you want to approve them, I'll run down here in this.
And which one was that?
95.
I have it here.
Oh, you have a copy, okay.
Yep, what you sent me, I printed off, so.
Well, is there any more to talk about during the public hearing portion? Yeah, go ahead, we can exit, I
I
suppose.
make a motion to exit the public hearing at 9:55.
I got a motion from Dean, a second from Fritchie to exit public hearing at 9:55. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. We are now at the public hearing. All right, so we have four resolutions: 1592, 1593, 1594, and 1595. You want to look through those?
I can email you a copy later.
Thank you, that'd be great.
Do they have to move to accept the amended budget
Yeah,
and then the
Yeah.
resolution?
yeah.
Well, so we have to approve the amended budget first.
Yeah, because without the amended budget, then these don't really mean anything, so.
Okay, fair enough. So yes,
Make a motion to approve the amended budget.
I got a motion from Dean and a second from Fritchie to approve the amended budget. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
And so then I will need to send a copy of these minutes to the state auditor along with the amended budget. I believe there's 10 days, 20 days, something like that, so.
Okay.
June 30th, end of the fiscal year. We're amending last year's budget to cover what the expenditures are. So June 30th,
That little gap.
yeah, just to cover the expenses over what last year's budget was. So, yep, yep. So it's good for what? 9 days? 8 days?
Yeah. Well, and that's what happens. So I mean, obviously, when you go into when we're discussing budgets, it's a guess, especially when you have a moving target like health insurance claims.
Exactly.
You go off of last year, the previous year, and you cross your fingers that those premiums or those claims stay within that. But in this case, we had a really bad year for a lot of health claims, which has caused all this for.
Understand.
Um,
Oh, crapshoot.
Yep, so in total, we are gonna be moving 550,000 around to different funds, correct? Okay. And then on the backside, we're still gonna have a shortfall with that 550, so.
Right.
And
So the 550 is all ending up in self-insurance?
So the resolution 1592, the first one is transferring budget authority or budget allocation in the inheritance fund from miscellaneous operating to transfers out. Just changing line items within the inheritance fund. So it doesn't change the bottom line. 1593 would then be transferring 300,000 of that 550 from inheritance to the self-insurance fund to cover what we thought the claims were going to be up through the end of the year. And then 1594 is transferring 250 from the inheritance fund to the general fund, so that the general fund can then increase their budget authority of transfers to self-insurance by the 250. So general fund will have an in and out, not affect anything on the bottom line. The transfer to the self-insurance fund will give you additional money in there to pay additional claims up to the 300,000. But you are going to be short, so then any shortfall would have to then be paid directly out of inheritance.
Yeah, we kinda, that's the reason we set the budget in inheritance like we did in case something like this happened, so it worked out. It didn't
Yeah.
change the tax, anything
Right,
like that.
yeah.
All it did is,
So with amended budgets, you can't change any tax asking.
No.
Money's got to come from someplace to cover it.
we
Yeah.
gave ourselves the authority in inheritance fund to do this in case it happened, and it happened. So
Yeah.
now we gotta go ahead and transfer it over there.
Can I make one motion to approve all 4 resolutions? Does that work, or do we need to do them each individual?
I think normally you approve each one individually, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 1592 to transfer 550,000 of budgeted disbursements from miscellaneous operating expense to transfers out within the inheritance fund 2700. I got a motion from Gant and a second from Fritchie to approve resolution 1592. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 1593. To transfer 300,000 of budgeted disbursements as needed from inheritance tax fund 2700 to self-insurance fund 1275.
One second.
I got a motion from Gant and a second from Dean to approve resolution number 1593. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. motion to approve resolution 1594, whereas the transfer of $250,000 of budgeted disbursements as needed from Inheritance Tax Fund 2700 to General Fund 0100. Got a motion from Gans and a second from Fritchie to approve resolution number 1594. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
So that 250 is gonna be in addition to the 349 that I've not transferred any of,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Well, this would be, yeah, from inheritance to gen, yeah. When it just changed those numbers, add the 250 onto what was there.
Okay.
And finally, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 1595, whereas directs the county clerk to increase budgeted transfers from general fund 0100 to self-insurance fund 1275 by $250,000. I got a motion from Gans and a second from Dean to approve resolution number 1595. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. What was the claims last?
I was just texting Georgia to ask her because seemed what?
Well, I don't know. Like that one, we paid last. Excellent. So then what we do, what are we gonna do to transfer that extra 50 from directly from inheritance to self-insurance?
That won't be transferred anywhere.
It
It
won't.
won't be transferred, just paid directly out of the inheritance fund. Yeah.
We'll have to redo that. Because not all of this can come out of self-insurance, some of it's gonna have to come out of the inheritance, but I can't get George to pick up her funds.
Okay, so
Before you approve claims, what else have we got?
we got the time capsule and then budget workshop, so it's whatever, we can come back and do the consent agenda whenever we need to, I guess, so. Okay, well, darn it, that's, you know, I'd like to see this, I mean, obviously, but it is what it is, so, I mean. Do you need anything else from us, Dan?
Nope, I don't think so.
We're gonna be, looking at your contracts, I don't think that's on the consent agenda, but
Okay, all right,
I think we're good.
okay,
Thank you,
okay,
take care.
all right.
All right.
Hey, you want me to yell at somebody on the way by?
Yeah, what'd you think?
Okay, bye.
He's gonna go tell Georgia to answer her phone. So he's supposed to go tell Georgia to answer her phone.
Uh-huh.
Because we don't have enough in that account, part of that is gonna have to come out of inheritance and.
I was in here Friday working, and by the end of his recommendations, I was so confused. I don't know how much last week's were, 2 weeks ago. Otherwise, it looks like we've got enough to cover. Cause we're 300 from inheritance and 250, the whole 550 is going to self-insurance in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
But
It'll go
if
through different-
this was, I can't remember what last week's was, or 2 weeks, last meetings. So I don't know how much to pay out of self-insurance and how much to pay out of inheritance yet.
Yeah, okay, well, that's fine, we can.
We need to figure it
can work
out
through that.
before.
We'll have a better idea after we get all the numbers in at the end of June.
Okay. Next up is discussion over the timing and logistics of opening the time capsule located on the courthouse property in the southeast corner. So, the proposed time capsule was to be open, marking its 50-year grand opening for July 4th. However, so these are just some of my discussions I've had. We're trying to figure out the logistics, who's opening it, who's gonna remove the concrete slab, what we're gonna do with the contents after it's opened, and how many people can actually be in attendance. So July 4th is probably a bad day, in regards to the fact that you have the Culbertson 4th of July parade in the morning, and you have people out of town and family festivities. I reached out to Sarah Snyder, visited with her from the Chamber's standpoint. I talked to Linda Taylor, the mayor of McCook, to see what her thoughts were. And we also reached out to Sue Doak, who is the head of the museum. And Sue proposes that we add this opening to an event for Heritage Days. I know that puts us back into September, not July 4th. But they could list that as an event for Heritage Days, and there's obviously between the parade and the goings on at Norris Park, there'll be a lot of people in between and around, so we think we would draw a better crowd to it. I'm in favor of doing that because I just think that if we do it on July 4th, I don't know that we're gonna have a following and anybody's gonna show up to really see it. Maybe I'm wrong. And then I would be in favor of the contents then if Sue would like to display them at the museum. Otherwise, I don't know where we would keep them.
I agree with both options, Heritage Days and the museum. I think it's a great idea.
Now, the only downshot is the fact that it's not gonna be opened on its 50th anniversary.
It wasn't actually buried until September though, either. So they were off on their timeline
Okay.
50 years ago.
Perfect.
So that's what happens when other people plan for.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, obviously, I wasn't even born yet. So, can you guys say the same? I don't know.
Well, I can't say.
Okay. Just say- no, I'm just giving you a hard time. But that's kind of what I think. And Charles, any thoughts on it?
I'd say you probably will draw more crowd than.
People don't even know it's there. I mean, I walk by it every day and don't just even register.
Yeah.
Don't tap on it, you should be-
Wish you good luck.
Fourth of July, you wanna have that.
And some people have stated that I talked to were going to be out of town, like the Gazette. I know Mrs. Sugar said that she was going to be out of town, and so I mean, there's some people that would like to be there that can't be. So
Okay.
I'm good with that. We want to make a motion just to do that then.
Yes, I'll make the motion if that's okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna open the time capsule for the same day as Heritage Days in September. And also probably display the contents at the museum here in Cook.
The time frame?
That time for September, I don't know
No,
what
I
day.
mean,
I don't know what day.
time of day.
Oh, I don't know that. Well,
I would say
Will
that,
the organizers of Heritage Days be a better one
Yeah,
to
let them
set
decide.
Let
that?
them
yes, they said they were.
time slot in.
They said they were gonna put it to their calendar of events or their, so September 16th through the 19th. September 16th through the 19th is the 5-day historic celebration, but that one,
Let them just Let them schedule it.
So it'd probably be more than likely, I mean, depending on where they can fit it in, but I mean, Saturday is the parade. And then they, obviously following the parade is all the events and vendors and food trucks. So,
Make the king and queen dig it out.
There you go.
you know,
Fireball.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All set with it.
I got a motion from Dean and a second from Fritchie to, open the time capsule during the Heritage Days, celebration here in McCook, and then possibly display those items at the High Plains Museum. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. And they kinda were interested in taking the lead, because I mean, there's a lot of questions about who's opening it, who's digging it up, who's gonna, so I think that it's historic, so I don't know that there's any better place than to have it at our museum for display for people who wanna come and look, so.
Sounds good to me.
Excellent.
Got that.
All right, so we will, that concludes our main agenda outside of the consent agenda, but we're gonna put the consent agenda on pause, solely because we're still trying to figure out our totals on our expenditures for accounts payable on what comes out of self-insurance and what is gonna come out of inheritance funds. So, that gets us to budget workshop. Gentlemen,
Morning.
Morning.
how we doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, if we've got the sheriff's office here, we don't wanna hold you up going through a whole bunch of other budgets. If you guys wanna come on down, do you have an amended budget for us, or just some talking points there?
We have some amended numbers.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I think I can understand. So we were able to get the jail down, 47,340 in the budget.
You had a decrease at how much, Dalton?
47,340.
Is it, which one? Okay.
That's for the jail, that's,
Oh, I see. From 1.168 to 1.